Let's get to your top 5 takeaways, Rod. The Patriots, they just keep on winning football games. What's the biggest reason? When you look at this team coming together, what is it that's catching your eye?
Trusting the coach. Bill Belichick is one of those guys, he focuses on, when he talks about doing your job, it's about doing the fundamentals of your job and doing your job right all the time. So now that your teammate can trust you. And that's what I see what's happening. When he's talking to them as far as fundamental football, setting the edge, they're doing a great job of setting the edge. When they double team a guy, they do a great job of taking him away. Earlier in the season, they didn't do that. They had fumbles, penalties, turnovers, all these different things, and they weren't doing their jobs. They weren't doing the fundamentals of football, and they weren't having success. Now you see those guys are starting to trust Coach Belichick a lot more. They're starting to do the little things that it takes, and now they're just out there playing and having fun playing football. And you see Mac Jones, and this is a crazy thing. I have to hold my breath, and I love Mac Jones, but I have to hold my breath because every game it seems like he can throw 3 or 4 interceptions. Guys are dropping it, have opportunities. They're just not coming down with it. He has to do a better job of protecting the football.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is that you're seeing them start to treat Mac Jones as a guy that can go win them football games as opposed to somebody who's protecting football games. It's funny, Rod, as all this stuff happened with Notre Dame, I couldn't help myself. I went back last night and I watched the Rose Bowl from last year. I kind of wanted to see it from Notre Dame's perspective going, what was Brian Kelly thinking? And then I also wanted to see it from Mac Jones' perspective because I'm going, how the hell is this guy able to play in the NFL this immediately? And when I'm watching him throw the ball to Najee Harris and throw the ball to Devontae Smith, he was already playing in an NFL offense. And he already had essentially an NFL very similar to Belichick type coach in Saban. So he's used to the pressure and the grind of it all. And to watch him go 25 of 30, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns in that game, and play perfectly efficient football, it made me realize the training he had for this moment, and now you're seeing him pick it up within that moment. Every Belichick team that I watch just gets better as the year goes on, but when you think about a rookie quarterback, I think that the curve of how much better this team is going to get heading towards February is going to be scary for the rest of the NFL.
And you look at Josh McDaniels, and we can't overlook Josh McDaniels and a terrific job that he's been, because he's in Mac Jones' ear every second. He's talking to him during practice, the meetings, all those different things. I thought he's done an impressive job of getting him, allowing him to just play football, spreading the ball around, getting it to different playmakers. And the offensive line has gotten better. They continue to run the football. They pound people. They use play-action pass. And every now and then you see Josh McDaniels rip out a couple trick plays every single game. It's terrific. And as much as I love Coach Belichick, Josh McDaniels has been doing a great job with this young quarterback.
He sure has. Let's get to your second takeaway. We're going to keep it right there in the AFC, really at the top of the AFC with the Baltimore Ravens, team that continues to win. They've won in some interesting ways, to say the least. They've gotten behind. They've come back. They've won sloppy. They've won this. They've won that. But the bottom line is they continue to win. What's the story right now with Baltimore?
They're just a very resilient team. They're a very resilient team, but they're not going to go very far if Lamar continues to turn the ball over. Too many injuries on offense, too many injuries on the defensive side of the ball for him to continue to turn the ball over. And now I'm getting to the point, as much as I love Lamar, and I think here in the next 3 to 4 years, he will win a Super Bowl. But when he drops back to pass, he starts to get me nervous a little bit. And I like the way their offense has evolved. It's not just Mark Andrews in the passing game, but he has to do a better job of not turning the ball over. His defense stepped up, played tremendous with all these different injuries, but these are just easy passes. I mean, you got to be able to complete these. In the playoffs, you won't get these opportunities. You would not be able to throw 4 interceptions in the playoffs and then come back and be able to win the game, because the teams in the playoffs are a lot better, and they're going to take advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah, I haven't been this nervous like you're saying watching Lamar play since his rookie year. There was moments during his rookie year I was going, everyone drops back, but he had been a lot more efficient. He had been a lot more effective as a passer recently, so I hadn't really been used to seeing this. One thing that they were doing, and we knew going into the game that this was a possibility, is they were using Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who is a safety linebacker combination, played that rover outside linebacker spot in college at Notre Dame, and now he's in the NFL, and he's really been the perfect transitional piece for the NFL game as the NFL continues to evolve. And he's not really a safety, and he's not really a linebacker, and I don't really think it matters. What he was is an incredible spy for Lamar Jackson. And you don't really see ever a defender match up athletically with Lamar. And I thought you saw two that were able to match up athletically. One was Myles Garrett. The other was Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And it started to get into the head of Lamar Jackson. I think he was really lucky to find a way to win this game.
I'll tell you this, and you're spot on with that. And Joe Woods, who I've criticized on this show, I've criticized him a couple times. I thought he had his best game plan. He came out, he had 7 defensive backs. And I include Jeremiah as a defensive back because this is a kid, if they wanted him to play strong safety, he could play strong safety and be an all-pro. But he can also play linebacker. Right. But they had 7 defensive backs. They had a ton of speed on the field. So anytime Lamar took off, once he got past 2 of the most athletic defensive ends you're going to ever see play in the National Football League, you had all these guys swarming. You had nothing but speed. I thought this was the best game plan, and Joe Woods showed me a different side. I don't know if it was desperation or whatever, but it seemed like it gave his team a boost. They created 4 turnovers. So I expect him to continue with these aggressive calls, but I thought he probably called his best game of the year.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And if Baker Mayfield's healthy on the other end of it, who knows? They may capitalize on some of the opportunities the defense was able to create for this offense. But they've been able to stomp on some serious narratives there in Baltimore this year, because everybody would say that this style of offense can't come from behind. And Lamar, he can't come from behind. He needs the lead. They need to do power running to be able to keep the lead, run up the score. But it hasn't been the case at all with this team. If you look at the Kansas City game, that's them coming all the way from behind with Lamar Jackson. You look at the Minnesota game, that's them coming all the way from behind with Lamar Jackson. This most recent game was just sloppy football to go beat the Cleveland Browns. But the thing that Lamar Jackson's doing a little bit of is they're hitting these quick passes. You know, Hollywood Brown screen, Hollywood Brown 5-yard turnaround, Mark Andrews 5-yard turnaround. They're getting some of these young wideouts on the outside going. And then that's opening up the power run game. So when they're coming from behind, it's weird. It's almost like Lamar likes to run around and, throw some sidearm passes and get back to the things he was doing so well at Louisville. It starts to open up, make him feel comfortable in the passing game. And when I watched that Minnesota win from a few weeks ago, that was what stood out. He starts to get in his element behind because he starts playing free, running around and having fun again.
Yeah, and a big part of that is Coach Harbaugh. Every time we talk to these players and we ask them about, why do you guys play like this? Why are you guys a close-knit team? How are you guys able to overcome? They always go back to Coach Harbaugh. Coach Harbaugh gives them freedom. He gives them trust and belief. And he's one of those guys that he always trusts. Remember we were there this year, the first time, and he was like, Lamar, what do you want to do? Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Like, I've never seen anything like that, at a quarterback being so young and had question marks behind him and things like that. I've never seen a coach ask a player, what do you want to do? To me, that really showed me the nature of their relationship. Like, Coach Harbaugh is a cool dude. Like, he's always cool. I like him. He's fire. I've known him for years. But at the end of the day, when you show trust in your quarterback, a quarterback like Lamar, a special quarterback, man, there's nothing that Lamar feels like he can't do on that football field, but it gives him the courage to be aggressive throwing the ball. And that's one of the reasons why he threw 4 interceptions, because he felt so comfortable and confident being able to throw the ball. It didn't work out for him. They end up winning the game, but I think he will get better.
It's an excellent point, because for somebody to throw 3 interceptions in the second quarter alone, and these were like tip ball, these were ugly looking interceptions, and then to come back that first drive of the second half and to be running right, it's a 3rd down, to be running right towards the sideline, and to have the courage to throw that thing up in the air, just like moon ball going, Mark Andrews, he's over there somewhere, let's see what happens. Draw that pass interference. Mark Andrews happens to catch the football. And then the other one, when he's scrambling around, he's got Garrett in his face, and he throws another one to Mark Andrews that was the touchdown down in the red zone. You don't make those throws unless you have that confidence of your coach. You don't do it. You can't do it unless you have that kind of confidence. And without those 2 plays,
and that's a 3rd and 4.
This game 100%.
Jack, that's a 3rd and 4 when he made that play. So it wasn't like, oh, let's just be conservative and get the first down. No, let's go for it. I got my best player against one of your best defenders, and I trust that I'm going to throw it up. He's going to come down with it, and that's exactly what happened.
That's a great point. Let's get over to the other side of things with the Cleveland Browns. So here was Coach Stefanski after the game with that quarterback position and what may be down the road. Here was what Coach had to say.
Yeah, it's frustrating. it is very frustrating to not score enough, and it's always a combination of things. It's staying on the field on third down. It's trying to run the ball effectively, get into the red zone, all those things. But we're just not doing a good enough job, and that starts with me.
Is a quarterback change at all a possibility in the bye week?
No.
Why not?
Well, let me ask you a question. Why would we do that?
Well, the points, just aren't there.
Yeah, it's not. We're not doing that, Tony.
So this is a little weird to me because I don't think people are asking him about a quarterback change because Baker Mayfield stinks. I think people are asking about a quarterback change because Baker's not 100%. And that's the thing that I question. Like, if Baker's 70%, is Case Keenum, does he give us a better chance of winning football games at 100% as opposed to Baker at 70%? Because there's things that Baker can't do on a football field anymore, and it limits their offense. So if I'm Kevin Stefanski, it's not about ego and pride. It's about doing what's right for your team. There's a reason why you brought Case Keenum, because he knows your system. You've coached him before. He's been around you a long time. So you should give Baker a couple weeks, at least a couple weeks, to rest. Jack, you said it. You said, look, Rodney, I see him. He's not the same. He's holding his shoulder. He's limping. He doesn't look like a fluid athlete when he's out there because he's in pain. If I'm Kevin Stefanski, I'm giving him a couple weeks. It'll clear his mind. It'll help his body physically, and maybe it'll rejuvenate him, and then you can see what you have in Case Keenum in the future.
That's next level. And it's probably something that they should have done a few weeks ago, because then who knows? Now Baker might be healthy. He might be coming back.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we got to give credit to Baker Mayfield, because that dude is tough, man. He is tough to have that kind of a shoulder injury, then another injury. Now you got the heel injury. Now you got the knee injury. And for him to continue to want to go play, Cleveland better know what they have with Baker Mayfield going out there and gutting it out. And he's found ways to win these games. But this is something at this point, and I am in complete agreement with you, that's not only better for Baker Mayfield, it's better for the Cleveland Browns, because they have won with Keenum before. So put Keenum out there, see if you can go steal a couple of games, get Baker Mayfield back to being and looking like Baker Mayfield. You're not going to heal the groin injury with 3 days off. So what happened? The first time early on in the game, I think it was the second series of the game, that Baker really tried to hit the gas pedal and run, he pulled up again, then he was limping the rest of the game. And if you can't go do that bootleg stuff, this Stefanski offense is not the Stefanski offense, and they're going to continue to get beat.
Absolutely, and that's why I say he needs to make a move. And a lot of times people say he doesn't want to probably cloud the relationship between him and Baker. But if I were him, I would go to Baker and say, look, I watch you and I know how tough you are. You don't have to show me your toughness anymore. I'm going to sit you down for a couple weeks and I'm going to do what's right for this team. And because we think about it, every time he comes out and he's limping, he's hurting, and he has to do so much just to go through a 2-hour practice. It's like, if you give him time to relax and just really get treatment and take his time, Baker's a very sharp guy. He's going to always still be in the meeting rooms. He's going to help Case Keenum. He's going to be on the sideline as a different set of eyes. But sometimes as a football player, you need rest, especially as a quarterback, because nobody goes through more than a quarterback, mentally, physically, and emotionally, during a football season.
Yeah, and a whole nother element of this is Kareem Hunt coming back was a big story coming into this game, that they were going to get this two-back option. We know Nick Chubb's the star, but for them to get Kareem Hunt back, and they really didn't even give him the football. He wasn't even a part of the game plan. Could you believe that watching this game?
I told you, I'm like, what the heck are they doing? I said, you got 2 Pro Bowl backs. You have a back that you can legitimately line up as a wide receiver, as a playmaker, and you're not even utilizing them. You're not even putting them on the field. You're not even putting them on the field with Nick Chubb. So I really didn't understand the play calling. I didn't understand what, using the two tight end sets. You're not really utilizing these guys. You can bring them in and you can run the football, or you can spread them out and you can pass the football with these guys, but they're really not utilizing these guys. I don't know what Kevin Stefanski, and maybe he's starting to feel the heat and the pressure of everything that's going on.
Oh, I'm sure they're all starting to feel a little bit. Let's get to the L.A. teams, right? The L.A. teams, let's start with the Chargers, right? Because the Chargers, both the teams are struggling in L.A. right now. But the Chargers and Justin Herbert, I think it's the team that one week you go, oh, wow, that's the potential Super Bowl. They can host one right there in their home city. and then they're completely gone the next week. So what's going on with Herbert and the Chargers?
Well, Justin Herbert is feeling the pressure of all the expectations. You think about the rookie year that he had last year. He was phenomenal last year. He came in, started the first game, and he didn't think he was going to start, and was absolutely terrific. This year, defensive coordinators have had a chance to study him a lot more, and so they're doing different things. They're showing him different looks. You look at Wink Martindale with the Baltimore Ravens, Bill Belichick, Mike Zimmer. They lost to all those great defensive coordinators. Why? Because those guys blitzed them, showed them different looks, created turnovers, did the same thing the Denver Broncos did to them. And Justin Herbert is starting to feel the pressure because they're saying, oh, we have a new coach. We got the young stud in Justin Herbert, second year in the offense. He could take us to the next level. And he's just not the same quarterback right now. He's learning a new offense, so checks and adjustments and all these different things he's learning on the fly. And it's going to take time. But the one thing that's been a saving grace, and we talked about for Justin Herbert, has been the fact that he's been able to run and to use his legs and use his athleticism. That really helped him out against the Pittsburgh Steelers when we were there.
Yeah, you know when you hear Tom Brady talk and he goes, why would I retire now when I got all the answers to the test? Like, I have the answers now. It's something you almost got to remember with young quarterbacks. It's like he may know how to beat one defense, but there's always going to be a second or a third different look that teams are able to give him. And I think you're seeing some of those secondary or third, just different, adjusting the scheme, showing him one thing pre-snap, changing to this defense, that are just fooling him. So some weeks it looks amazing, other weeks not so much. Like, he looked awesome in that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We were out there for that Sunday night football game, throws the game-winning touchdown down the sideline, and then you just didn't see any of that this past weekend. So I'm not giving up. I'm not panicking on Herbert. I just think he is learning that there's more than one test out there to pass, and he's going to have to continue to do so. You want to get to your fifth takeaway right here on the defensive player of the year? Let something else go.
Yeah, let me make one more point now. Derwin James, he's been excellent for him, and they have Bosa, and they have a lot of good young pieces. But I never trust a defense that can't stop the run. If you can't line up and you can't stop the run when you got to have it, and this is what happens in January, this is what happens in December and January. If you cannot stop the run, you can't go very far in the playoffs. You can't, because it's cold, the weather is crazy, and you have to be able to either get a first down or you have to be able to stop somebody from getting a first down. That's the bottom line, and I don't think they can do it consistently enough.
There you go. Well, that comes down to defense. So this Defensive Player of the Year race, we've been talking about this one all year long on this show. Where do you lean right now as you look at that award, and who some of the stars on defense are this year?
It's two guys, clear-cut, two guys. Is Matthew Judon, who's been basically everything, 11.5 sacks. He's been tremendous. He's come in and really helped propel that team. I mean, whether it's the pressures, the sacks, the leadership, just everything that he does every single day. He's come in, he's really made a difference. And the most athletic guy I've seen, I think, is in the NFL, Myles Garrett. He's just a freak athlete. When he jumped up and knocked that ball down, some of the things that he's done, I've never seen on a football field. And he is a big dude, 6'4", 6'5", 280 pounds, super athletic. And did you see the way he chased Lamar Jackson down and caught him? He is an absolute freak. These are the two guys, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to ask you, who are your two guys that you put up there? Are you with me or against me?
Well, you chose some pretty good ones right there. You chose some pretty good ones. Like Myles Garrett would have been my number one, honestly. And I thought Myles Garrett did a lot.
Yeah, he's
of
number
things,
one.
Almost as much as he could have done. Right. Yep. He almost did as much as he could have done to go try to win that game against Baltimore. He only plays one position. I mean, at some point you probably should have put him in there at running back, seeing if he could help the offense too. But I mean, you mentioned the play where he looped back around and Lamar's going down the sideline. I mean, there's defensive backs and cornerbacks and safeties that Lamar regularly outruns in that scenario. So to see Myles Garrett, who is a step behind, be able to catch up to Lamar Jackson and push him out of bounds, I just never seen anything like that. And if you watch the Browns play all year, Myles Garrett makes those kind of plays on super athletic running backs or receivers, anybody that gets in the zone of Myles Garrett, he has a way of getting on the ground. And then the one where he's flying 5 feet up in the air, like you mentioned too. So he's doing things that defensive ends just should not be able to do. His pressures are there, 59 pressures on the year. That's second in the NFL. 16 of those sacks. He got all these hits, hurries. Like, you look at his numbers, Myles Garrett has the resume right now to win that award.
No doubt, no doubt. Those two guys are playing fantastic. Really anxious to see how they finish up.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.